Guess who's back again? So what's been happening, lads? It's good for me to be back on here. Good to be back for a while anyway. I'll see what happens to bring. It seems like, I'm on here for a bit and then I take a break and then I'm on here for a bit and then I take a break. So it's hard to be consistent with content, I guess. But what I've been up to the last few months, so the last few months I've been away from Poland. I packed it into Poland around Halloween, I would say. I wouldn't say that I've packed it in forever, but for a while I have, because we were partying a lot. We were running into winter, and it can be easy to fall down that hedonism path, partying all the time, coke, booze, not training as much, although I still got a fair bit. It's fucking humid where I am now. I'm in Bali, so I've been in Bali now for about a month, or close to it. I had my daughter here, and it was good to see her and things like that. Good to see her for Christmas. She's in Australia. So what's been happening with that? It's good to see her. The guys are here. It's nice. It's fucking hot here. Bali, it's insane. This humidity is like 100%. And where we're at now, or where I'm at, it's a nice spot and it's good and things like that, but it's not really that insulated. Like the insulation is trash. So a lot of the villas and things like that, and they're built to like a low standard, pretty obvious. But I can give you guys my take on Bali as well. My take on Bali is that it's okay, for a short time, for like a week or two or something like that. But the energy and things like that here, there's a lot of confused people. Like there's a lot of confusion there. A lot of people come here, and when you talk to people and things like that, you realize, same thing that I've realized, a lot of people are like unsure of who they are. They're trying to find themselves. They've had a bad experience that's often brought them here. I've had a bad breakup. Lost my job at work. I'm in transitional period for whatever reason. Now I'm here, and it's kind of in the air. Like a lot of people are trying to fix themselves here. So it's that's the energy that's circulating, a lot of confusion. And a lot of them end up, which isn't too bad, but just in like gym, like meatheads at the gym. Like the gym itself is often like the refuge of the confused. I've said it before. I say it a lot in my Telegram. Like, why are you built to be a giant roid head? Like, what hurt you? Something hurt you, and now you've just put a bunch of fucking muscle mass over the top of it so that you think that you're not going to get hurt again, instead of addressing the actual issue, which is internal. It's not normal for guys to build such a giant shell around themselves, a big meathead shell. They often do it because they've had an emotional issue, and then they don't really tend to that. They just think that if it's a similar concept that I've said before, they stack a bunch of bricks on top of an already damaged like foundation, and the bricks are stacked on top of it, but all it is like it's a buffer between them and other people. It becomes like a thing that they think that it makes them safer, but actually it brings them further away from people. It's like putting a brick wall in front of themselves. So then they meet people and things like that, and they keep that as a distance. The gym is full of people like that. It's that sort of environment. So you notice it here when you go to train and things like that, or you go around. There's a lot of those sort of people around here. There's not a lot of depth in this place. Even though people think that they're kind of on the deep end because a lot of them are hippies and things like that, and they try to be. There's not a lot of depth there. They're impossible of self-reflection. That's why they come here to try and find someone else to figure them out, instead of being able to reflect on themselves and figure themselves out. Because that's what a lot of therapy is. See, people don't realize that. I mean, I've gone to therapy probably hundreds of times or more. I was in the army, so I was in a veterans hospital for 14 months, seeing a therapist, a psychiatrist, a few times a week for 14 months. So I think that I'm probably the most fitted to talk about such a topic. With therapy, things like that. See, when I teach people or instruct people, or you see my Telegram, I teach people, I ask the right questions so they come to the conclusion themselves. That's the best, that's the best teacher. That's the best therapist, so to speak. Therapy is not me putting my ideas in your mind. Therapy is me giving you a few paths and you choosing the best one that you can walk down, but you have to make the decision for yourself. Whereas here, a lot of them just get pushed into different funnels. Pushed into the gym, pushed into yoga, pushed into all of these things, which if they're certain little parts of your life, they're fine, but they're not a complete life. Like they're not really a complete solution. There's no solution here, because a lot of people, when they come here, the life is easy here. Like, of course, you're going to feel good when you just get up and go to the gym, fuck around for the whole day. No one really has any expectations of you because no one knows you here. It's like a tourist town. So there's no responsibility, you know, you don't have a reputation here. You're not going to be judged on your reputation because other people here, a lot of them are hiding. Like a lot of people don't really want you to know exactly who they were or who they are because a lot of them have crappy reputations, so they come here to hide or sort of reinvent themselves. So there's not a lot of kind of the same sort of mindset as happens in Thailand. So Bali itself and the Indonesians and stuff like that, they work hard. I mean, there's guys working the rice paddy not far away from me, planting and harvesting crops, and it's fucking 100% humidity here, so they work fucking hard. You know, the Balinese people and the Indonesian people, it's nothing against them, you know, they're hard workers. But a lot of the foreigners come here, that's their thing. Like, people come here often because they think it's cheap. Then, I'm going to find myself, you know, I'm going to fix all this trauma. And it circulates in the air here. Like, it's like people come here and kind of treat it like a dumping ground. Like, you'll see it, and this place is like a dump. Like, there's shit fucking everywhere. Like, you walk to the beaches, the beaches are fucked. Like, it's just a proper dump. You drive through or like ride through the city, is just so much congestion in the cities. Like, the roads are just packed full of people. It's not only that, there's air quality's like crappy. You know, it's like smoking cigarettes here. I think they said it's like 5 or 6 cigarettes a day just to walk around and breathe the air. So yeah, a lot of that. And again, that's not to say it's the Indonesian people's fault. It's just too crowded here, too crowded with foreigners. What they would need to do is actually crank the price up of everything and drive out those shitty shitheads here and actually just keep the people here who actually want to build the place up. And yeah, that's sort of the way it goes with Bali for me. I mean, it's kind of crappy in that regard, you know. And as I was saying with the therapy concept, yeah, people have to come to their own conclusions. You know, you have to be able to reflect yourself. You have to be able to be critical of yourself. A lot of people here, they're still stuck in the phase of not accepting responsibility for who they are. See, that's what happens with a lot of these hippies and these spiritual people and things like that. They don't want to accept responsibility for their surroundings. That's what a lot of it is about. Like, a lot of it is they don't want to be accountable for their own decisions. They want to pass it out to the universe to decide. You know, oh, the universe has done this, or the universe has decided that, or, yep, I didn't do this one thing that I was meant to do, but it was meant to be that way, and now the universe has taken over. You know, that's not how the world works. It's certainly weird when you see women do it, I understand, but when you come here and you see a lot of men with the same sort of mindset, that's a big fucking problem. Not only a big problem for me, but a big problem for men in general, because the buck stops with the men. You know, like manifestation and accountability and shit like that. A lot of it for women is women just sitting around waiting for a dude to do shit. Like, that's pretty much how it works. You know, women are manifesting X, but it only really happens when a man rocks up and makes it happen. So that's one thing. But when dudes do it, like, who the fuck is going to do shit for a guy? Like, shit's not going to get done. It's like girls will manifest someone taking him to a club, but of course a man's going to do it, but a man is not going to take another man and give him a free fucking ride like that. But yeah, its humidity is wild here. But the things that this place does get right, you go out to Uluwatu, the beaches are a lot nicer. Uluwatu, I think they call it. I stayed at Yamana, the big beach club. There's beach clubs there. We went to White Rock for New Year's. It was pretty good. So it's better out there than it is in Canggu. That's where we are. Canggu is, dumpy. So to me, it's a shithole like that. It's not bad in that it's not the locals' fault, or it's not the Indonesians' fault or anything like that. It's just a dump because there's too many people here. It's kind of, to me, similar to like Mumbai style. Like, a lot of people get sick here. A lot of people get like infections, or they get fucking like, what do they call it, Bali belly and shit like that. They have a saying for it, as though it's that common here. You know, that's like alarming of itself. You know, your stomach is your second brain. People don't realize that. Like, your stomach is your intuition. Your stomach, like your gut feeling, that's all intuition based. Like, that's your like raw brain. You know, the one telling you when you feel like something's off, even though your brain can't really justify exactly why you feel like that. Like, you meet someone and your gut just tells you get the fuck away from that person. Or you have something happen with the chick and she tells you something and you're like, oh, I can just feel like that's not true. Like, she's telling me something and I just feel like it's not exactly what she said. And then you find out later that you ignored your gut and actually it was right. So I really find it quite interesting that people get a lot of food, like stomach problems here and things like that, because obviously it's nuking their gut. So their gut instinct is going to be off. I think in general, the concept of like living around a place that's like volcanic, or living around a place that has health issues like that, or living around a place with such high humidity, or living around a place that kind of shows you like you build a place here and it just so much maintenance, like everything seems to break here, like break down, because if it's not really meant to be, I would say, people really to live here. And it makes me wonder why. Like why that sort of stuff is like warning people not to live here, and then they live here. Because there's a lot of weirdos here as well. I knew a girl who was, I met her, had known her from Poland, and then she come to Bali once before, and I noticed this heaps of like mannerism changes after she went out to that Ubud, I think Ubud, the hippie sort of commune place. And then she told me that she's been like practicing and learning witchcraft out there. And then when she said that, I was with my friend Akash, and he's like, don't say that word. And I said the same. I'm like, don't say that word. And there's another thing to say I'm learning alternative medicine or alternative healing or learning this or learning that, but specifically witchcraft, like that's not a good topic to be covering. And are you that ignorant to like claim that you're learning all of this fucking secret shit and your life sucks? Like if you're learning all of this alternative tech or like demonic shit or shit like that, your life would be exceptional. Like what are they actually doing for you? Like that would be my question for people in that sort of regard. Like a lot of people here, they're here because they've failed at life. Like coming here because it's cheap, or coming here because it's easier, coming here because it's less competitive, coming here because, you know, it's easy. That by definition, like you're telling the world that you can't function in like your own society that you're from. You have to come to an area where you have an unfair advantage because you maybe earn much more than the locals. You have higher like study than the locals, all of this stuff. Like, but on a level playing field, you can't win. Like that's the thing. I come here to see my friends and things like that. My friend's dad has a big spot here, big villa here. We come here for New Year's. It's nice to see the spot and things like that, but I won't stay here. Like I won't stay here for the long term. Certainly not for the long term beyond like another week or 2 weeks. Because this place it's beautiful to stay for like a week or two. Uluwatu is really nice and there's some good spots, but I've kind of seen enough in the other regards for it. Like the people here, it's demotivating for me because I'm a person who's, I wouldn't say sensitive, but very in tune to my environment. So when I meet people and things like that, I figure them out quickly. And I meet a lot of people here that you become the people that you hang around. Like I don't really want so many people like that in my reality. Like I'm a firm believer that you manifest your own reality around you, and what you tolerate or what you have around you, you see more of. Like you get more of those sort of people. If you're around confused people or people who have trauma or people who have all this bullshit, and you have them now in your circle, you're seeing them, you're hanging out with them, he's got some problems here, but he's okay, and he's good in other ways, and now now you're hanging out with that, like you're tolerating that, you're gonna get more of it. Like he's gonna introduce you to some of his friends that are gonna be weirdos, he's gonna introduce you to chicks that are gonna be weird, and it goes the same with a woman. Like sure many of us have had the same thing, where we're with a chick, maybe she's hot, and there's some behavioral things or some parts of her personality or shit that you overlook because she's hot. And then it ends up fucking nuking you. It's just the way that it generally goes with people like this. You give them an inch and they take a mile. Like you know that they don't match up to hang out or be around, but then you tolerate them and then it fucking bites you in the ass because your ideas don't really align. And that's the way it is like around here. I think it's good, the locals and things like that, hard workers and stuff like that, but it's the very concept of living here, I don't know why anyone would. You know, I understand why they would out in like Uluwatu or other places like that, but around like the big city, busy, like tourist spots, I don't know why anyone would really stay there that long. Because the builds and things like that around the places aren't great, and the people is very transient. People come here, it's the same sort of mindset when they come to these tourist places. They just like can throw trash on the ground, they can shit the place up, they know their reputation's not really gonna carry with them. They can fuck the place up, damage the place, doesn't matter. Like you walk outside of here, and if I was to take my camera and walk around, there's trash everywhere. Like there's shit everywhere. Fucking humidity here is wild. Humidity inside is wild. It's been a $6K a month villa, $1,000, and the humidity inside still sucks. You know, there's a lot of shit wrong with the place here. And that's not to sit here on here and complain about it, you know, I'm here. But compared to other places, I don't know why anyone would come other than to come for like a week or two and then I would go out to Uluwatu. But that's my take on Bali. So that's really said most of the things that I would do to say. I have a concept of going into some stuff later on about what I think is happening out in some of these hippie retreats and things like that. Because the other month, as many of you probably know, in December I went to Costa Rica. So I did a iboga ceremony out there, and it was intense. I was meant to do 2 ceremonies, I only did one. One of the girls that I invited died at the retreat. She didn't come home, so it was pretty intense, wild time. Probably the craziest story that I've ever heard, not only heard but ever been a part of out there. It's wild. So now I have, after seeing that, I have a pretty firm belief and understanding of all the same stuff that's happening out here in these sort of like hippie retreats and stuff like that. I have the same sort of concept. So yeah, a lot of people here, you run around and you talk about ayahuasca and stuff like that. Everyone gets so excited. Like there's something, in my view, like causing that. Because the thing with the iboga, I had a calling to do it, and I would say it was a calling, and I've had it for like 10 years. Like something in my head just telling me to research it, something to try it out, something to think about, test it out at some point. And it's like that, it's like calling. It's not like something that I've done other drugs and stuff like that before, and it's completely different. But with the iboga, it was being called to do it. And I've met a lot of people here, and it's the same thing. Like they say the same sort of thing. Like one day they just have a dream, or one day they're here, one day they're doing this, and it just gets in their head, and they can't quite shake it off. And I have my own theories for why that is and what it is and things like that I'll get into another time. The girl who passed away or died hasn't even had her funeral yet, so I haven't really gone into the story or any of that stuff out of respect for the parents. And it's a tragedy that it happened, especially to such a young girl, and she's sorely missed. I believe that I did all of that, everything that I could for that specific, incident. I think that I've done much more afterwards than probably anyone else would have, or certainly did. But yeah, so I think that I did all I could in that regard. But yeah, it's still a brutal story. It's the harshest story that I've ever even seen, and I've seen a lot of fucked up stories before. It's had me an interesting idea around death, like before that. I've known many people that have died around me, or died before, or died in things like that. But I've never seen someone die, like not seen them, but die under like, where there were so many signs that they were going to die. Like it's just like someone's just walking down a specific path to their death. That there were just so many coincidences, and so many things had to happen, and so many things had to fail, and so many things had to go wrong for actually to die. And each one did. Each one failed, and it's this, it was crazy story. And then one day I'll go into it. I'm not going to go into it yet, because like I said, the funeral stuff has not happened yet. And yeah, it's out of respect for the family. I'm sure that it's a really hard time. I don't doubt that. It's fucking very difficult. I'm sure I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, for such a thing to happen to them, a young girl to die. But what's done is done. You can only move forward, and it gives me an interesting perspective also on those hippie sort of people. I knew that the girl was missing. I'll give you a bit of a thing on what happened. She was missing we went to a retreat, did a iboga. She was missing. I went to get an IV drip the day after a iboga, so I was on an IV because I fucking dehydrated. The humidity was like this, but it was probably hotter. And it was just after a iboga. I'd been vomiting that for fucking ever. I had a lot of it, three spoons. And then the next day, so I had shitloads of it. And then the next day I was on an IV drip. I asked one of the other girls if she wanted an IV. I asked another girl if they wanted an IV. So 3 people got IVs. And then as I was getting an IV drip, my blood pressure, they checked it was 210/110. So it's like dead range. My hands were on fire. I had my like palm itself were burnt from my blood pressure being so high. It like popped the capillaries in my fingers. And then I thought, surely the doctors are like, oh, you can't take a full bag of IV because if we rise your blood, like your fluids up too high, you can have a heart attack. So I took Lasix, and that got it down a bit. But then after that, it's fucking shit. Humidity. And then after that, so my Lasix dropped my blood pressure down. And then after that, I was like, oh, I'll have a sleep, because I hadn't slept. Because we'd been the iboga the day before. Iboga, it's like a psychedelic, but it's also a stimulant. So it keeps you like really awake and alert, things like that. It's the one that Rogan always fucking talks about. And then it's the boss of psychedelics, like the biggest, harshest one that you can take. but the people there had taken it before, or not before, we hadn't, but they'd taken psychedelics before, so they're pretty experienced. Everyone was confident that it would be fine. And we went to a retreat where it should be completely fine and all managed and stuff like that. But yeah, so I'm on an IV drip. The girl, I fall asleep. The doctor is there, around me, checking on me, stuff like that. I fall asleep. 9 or 10 o'clock, one of the other girls comes in. Stephen, one of the girls is missing. I walk out. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, where the fuck is she now? And then the guy goes, she's missing. She's in the fucking jungle. And I said straight away that she's dead then. Like, if she's in the jungle, can you not fucking see that it's 9 or 10 o'clock at night? Like, the jungle is deep jungle. Like, it's like worse than the jungle here. Like, she's not from the fucking jungle. Like, she's from a normal city. She's not gonna fucking make it in the jungle. It's pretty obvious. If she's been missing in the jungle, they told me since lunch, then she's dead. Like, there's no chance of that. They told me that she went off with no shoes on. She went off with no water. And then, obviously, I walk out. And then I'm trying to call everyone. I'm trying to get drones here, get helicopter here, get everything here. I'll pay whatever it costs. And I was just amazed after seeing how these hippie people operate. Like, no one's searching for her. They're waiting for a search team. Everyone else is asleep. No one gives a fuck. No one's doing like any of the actual work, like the labor required. And then, obviously, sure enough, they eventually find the body, at 12 o'clock that she had turned up, that she was dead. And that's like, that has given me, a pretty strong voice against that sort of hippie crowd. I always knew that reality wins. Like, reality always wins in the end. Like, sitting and praying in one hand, shitting in the other, and see which one fills up first. Like, it's pretty obvious. Action trumps all. See, manifestation and prayer and stuff like that, that's what people get wrong. Like, people think prayer and manifestation is just sitting there like this. Oh, please, please, please. God does not like the pathetic guy who sits there and begs, as you do not like a beggar sitting on the side of the road asking for shit. God does not reward the beggar. God rewards the doer, the action. I want this, but now I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to start the fucking momentum to move forward. That's what works. Begging and pleading and asking someone, oh, my power's all outside of myself and I need all of this shit. That doesn't work. Like, that shit is only passive, not even one step. It's like pushing the boulder, the mythological guy whose life, it just revolves around pushing the boulder up and down the mountain. That's the story. Like, momentum, it's that first step. To start the push is very hard, but once you can push it and start the rock moving, it's a lot easier to continue pushing. Like, momentum is like that. Like, it's a lot harder for me to turn the camera on and fucking film when I haven't filmed in months. But when I'm filming every single week or every single few days, it's easy. It's like the gym. Like, it's a lot harder to do boxing when you take a month off, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, versus when you just go like every few days or something like that. That's how life is, specifically as a man. So that's my thing with the hippie stuff, that sort of crowd. I pretty much reinforce my belief of stuff like that. I've said it before, all of the work is done by the small percentage of people. The work itself is done by a very, very, very small amount of people. And the talking is done by a very, very, very large amount of people. So everyone wants to talk. Everyone, I'm sure, back in Poland or back in other countries or things like that, have many things to say, or Stephen should have done this, or Stephen should have done that, or this happened, or it's his issue, he should have done more. But like, they either weren't there or they weren't fucking helping. Like, they weren't actually helpful. The reason why, I remember I talked to her in the morning, this girl that went missing, and she said, Stephen, I'm going to get my phone, I want to go back to Poland, I'm paranoid, I'm this, I'm that. I told her to just wait one day and I'll take you back. Everyone's still resting, everyone's fucking trying to catch up, everyone's still kind of on that shit. I'd had, when she asked me to go back to Poland, it had been like 9 hours or 10 hours since my last dose. So I was still fucked up from this stuff. But I said, give it a day and I'll get you back. And then she took her phone. She said, oh yeah, okay, Stephen, that's fine. Takes her phone, goes to talk to people, and people put all of these ideas in her head and all this shit. And then she just fucks off. Like, she thinks it's but someone convinces her it's a genius idea to go fucking disappear into the jungle. Like, that's such a smart idea, to take her away from the one person who was actually looking after her. The one she didn't have any experience in that regard. Like, she wasn't a good listener. in that regard. Like she'd like to do a lot of the stuff herself and be independent, which is fine. But you're in the jungle. Like this is not the world that you know. It's not a world that I know as much, but I've still been to Tully and Cutton City and spots like that in Queensland with the army. So I have a pretty strong idea how shit works in the jungle. And I know if you go missing with no shoes on and no water and you vanish for 10 hours, I know there's a very high likelihood that you're dead, like in the jungle. Even here, if you go walk around the streets here for 10 hours with nothing on, like it's pretty obvious that this humidity sucks the life out of people and they die. So that was my take on that. And then I get a lot of people message me, Stephen, what happened? Stephen, it's not like you fucking just asking questions. Like, are you actually solving problems or are you just asking questions? Most people just ask questions. You know, it's a lot of effort to get the body out of the country. It's a lot of effort to get friends of mine, military contacts, so fucking searching and scouring the area where that she had a fall to make sure that there were no other people there, to make sure there were no secondary footprints because she went off track. So she walked down to the waterfall and then she went off the track and then she slipped and fell off the fucking track and then fell into rocks and the rest is history, you know. But it's a lot of work to check all of that stuff, you know. It's in Costa Rica. This isn't like downtown Melbourne or like, you know, Sydney or fucking Brisbane or Perth or something like that. You know, this isn't a very big area. This is it's very crude, like rudimental stuff. Like they have only basic services, although the search and rescue were fucking very good, like very efficient. They tried extremely hard, but there's only so much they can do. Like they found her, she was already dead. There's not much you can do. She'd been missing for such a long time before anyone called search and rescue that there's very little shit that anyone could do by then. And from the sound of the injury, it was fucking too quick anyway. Like it was pretty much instant. So that's the way it is. You know, people convince people to be away from the doers, and then when the talkers are talking, there's very little. Like you get 100 talkers together, they can't organize a fucking route in a brothel, but then it's the doers that can do it. You know, that's the way it is. Like reality wins in the end. You get the 100 critics together, and then they can't organize anything, versus the one that they're actually critiquing is doing all of the work, because that's how most people are. They don't like to do anything. Like they don't like to do the responsibility. They don't want to take accountability. They don't want to carry the fucking weight, but they want to tell you how you could have done it better. You know, they want you to carry the body, and then they're going to tell you later that you carried it the wrong way. That's just the way that a lot of people operate. You know, a lot of the work is done by the few and critiqued by the many. But then you get all of the critics again in the same room and ask them to do one thing and nothing gets done. The critic, it's very easy to be critical. It's very hard to get a body out of the country. It's hard to organise that, hard to organise transport, hard to organise a funeral, hard to pay for all of that. But that's the shit that I have done. You know, the family's been amazing and been very strong, and there's things that, you know, I don't wish it on anyone. The shit that they've had to go through. You know, it's not easy to be exiting the jungle at 2 a.m, 4 hours from the nearest like small city, and calling the mum to tell her that her kid's dead. You know, it's not that easy to be doing that sort of stuff. But that's the shit that like someone has to do. You know, that's the shit that the person does that carries all of the burden and all of the weight, you know. But that's the shit, that's like the burden of being a man. Like that's what men do. And that's kind of like a lost thing now. You know, a lot of it is, yeah, men are much more different than I have remembered, you know. A lot of the world has changed. You know, I can go talk about the immigration stuff, I can move it over to that, I can talk about all of the things that I've talked about, all of these topics, all of the topics that you guys are yet to see that's coming, where the new system of government is going to die and it's going to be replaced by a new system of government. You know, I've talked about this many times. The currency is going to die, going to be replaced by CBDCs. They have to kill all of the old systems, and how they've killed all of the old systems is they've brought in all these diversity highs, all of these issues, all of these problems that they knew were going to come, all of this chaos, and now they're going to offer solutions with guys like Musk, guys like, you know, billionaires are going to offer all of these solutions because surely he's figured everything out because he's rich. You know, but he's only rich. I'm not saying he's not a genius, but he's only rich off VC funding. Like there's still a certain group he can't talk about, and he won't. So that's the way it is. You know, they kill your trust in Secret Service, kill your trust in the CIA, kill your trust in, you know, the local government, local ministers, politicians. But they've lobbied them the whole way. Like they lobbied everything that they're doing, and now they've failed. So it's like me telling you to do X, you do X, and then afterwards I come out and go, you fucked up because you did that, you should have done Y. And now if you pick me or pick my new selection of government or something like that, then it will all change. But all it is again, the globalist. And of course, you and we know who are behind the globalists, but you can't really talk about it on here and keep your channel. But when I say globalist, I mean one specific group that is very known. I'm sure that you guys know because I talk about it more openly on Telegram. But that's the way it is. You know, it's like it's the one world government, one world currency, and it's all coming. You know, it's all coming down the pipe. They have to kill the old system of government. They weaken your trust in all national services, and then they offer you a better solution that's actually much worse because it's people you didn't vote for, services you didn't vote for, everything's privatized. There's no one to complain to, and there's not much to do in that regard. You know, that's the way it goes. That's what's coming. But yeah, it's not to be like a doomsday theorist or anything like that, or that everything's terrible, because it's not. You know, there's still a lot of good in the world and a lot of good things in the world, but there are a lot of changes happening, a lot of changes coming with AI and things like that. I've discussed much of it in my channel, my Telegram channel. I talk about much more stuff than I probably can talk about on here. And yeah, you know, it's been an interesting few months. You know, I did my Iboga thing and the shit that I've seen, like when I did that, it really reinforced a lot of the beliefs that I have, and a lot of things are going to change. You know, people can see the path that I've been walking down the last 6 to 12 months. It's been a bit different than the usual stuff talked about. A lot of the ideas and things that I talk about, I would say, are very exclusive ideas, you know, ideas that are just my own. I'm encouraging free thinkers on my group or, you know, my Telegram, things like that. It's not about being a fucking parrot. You know, I don't want you to take my stuff from my head and just run out and just be me. You know, and you can't be me as I cannot be you. But I'm only here to awaken leaders, and I might not be the leader of the fucking world, but you can be a leader of your household. You know, you can be a leader in your community, and you could just be a leader of yourself. Like, that's a rare lost art now, to be able to fucking lead yourself. You know, come to your own decisions, your own conclusions, but also accept your own responsibility for if you're wrong, or if you have a bad outcome because of your own decision. That's what people are so fearful of now. Same thing with this girl that died. People are scared to actually make the tough decisions because they don't want to be criticized. You know, but then instead they make no decision, and it's the same story. You're scared to take the shot. You got the basketball. It's the fucking buzzers at 10 seconds. You're standing there. You don't want to shoot because you could miss, but then the buzzer runs out and you lose anyway. Like you run out of time. It doesn't really matter that you didn't shoot because you still lost. So that's a lot of people live their life like that. But then they get to cope and be like, oh, but I didn't miss. So that's the way it is. Best to always shoot. Like shooters shoot. It's just the way it goes in life. But yeah, so there's going to be a lot of changes in my own ideas and stuff like that. I've come to a lot of different conclusions. You know, I've been doing a lot of different research and things like that. I've been doing a lot of research around AI, and I've been doing a lot of studies around that. A lot of studies around Nikola Tesla. A lot of studies around energy and manifestation and stuff like that. And I can know that I used to think that shit was really gay and like pointless and fake, but now I've come to more of a realization just how legitimately true it is, and how a lot of people get it wrong. You know, my life is a manifestation. I started all of this in prison. You know, when I was in prison, I used to write all day, like all night. I would go to my cell and I would write down exactly what I was going to have when I got out of prison. I was going to be worth $10 million. I was going to have a family. I was going to have, you know, never go back to prison again. I was going to have all of this shit. And I was so far from that. You know, I was so far from ever reaching it at the time. And then now my only one thing is that I didn't think far enough ahead. You know, I gave up on the manifestation concepts once I had everything that I thought that I wanted. But now I understand that it's a real thing. And the thing with manifestation, see, a lot of you don't really know, or you probably are completely lost at this point and think that it's fake, or that the person is crazy. But you have to remember that the person in front of you is, I'm $15 million. You know, I'm from the gutter. I'm year 9 educated. So how is all of that shit possible? You know, I travel the world at will. I do anything I want. Got an amazing network of everything. You know, I have a good contacts for everything. And I would say I'm a respected person. So I think it's a good thing to definitely take my advice on that thing, on that regard of manifestation. But yeah, so I used to write all down what I wanted. I wrote it down, and I've come to a lot of the conclusions around it. It's best done, manifestation, it's best done through writing, yes, but it's also best done the closer you can get to actually having it. See, if you write down, I want to have a Lamborghini, you say, I want to have a Lamborghini. It's a possession, it's the emotion, see? It's the emotion of actually owning it, or the emotion of actually having it that gives it to you. See, emotion is energy in motion, like it's energy in motion. Like there's a lot of stuff, like there's a lot of power in emotion. Like that's what draws it, that's what breaks and bends the fabric of time. Like if you can feel like you're already in the Lamborghini, you feel like you already own it, you feel how good it's going to be because everyone's going to stare at you or this and that. And it might not be a Lamborghini, it might be your family. You feel how good it's going to be to have a kid that loves you. You feel how good it's going to be to have a healthy body. Feel how good it's going to feel to not be a fat fuck. And then you start bending the fabric of time to push towards getting it. Like that's the emotion that they're trying to detract from you. Like you don't realize they're using your emotions all of the time. Like when you turn on X, when you turn on all of this doomsday stuff, like someone's harvesting your emotions anyway. You just don't really realize that. Like your energy is leaving you to go to something else or some other cause or someone else. Like that, they're using you for their manifestation, like for their dreams. You just don't really see the game that's being played, whereas I do. And yeah, and when you manifest, you can lose things along the way. Like if I say, oh, I want to be worth 50 million, I want to be worth 100 million, I want a family of this, I want that. The reality, like it doesn't think of the people in the way. It can push people out of the way, it can push pieces off the board in other ways to give you what you want. Like this world itself and this universe is designed to give you what you want. I know that for a lot of you it's so foreign because a lot of you are completely lost and aren't even the main character in your own life. Like you're so far back from being the main character in even your own life. Like you've got too many obstacles in the way to actually get to the front of the camera. Like that's the thing. Like some of you are like not even an extra in your own life. Like that's crazy. You have to take the wheel. See, a lot of you can't take the wheel because your dad's the boss. Can't take the wheel because your mummy's in charge. Can't take the wheel because you've got a brother or a sister or this or that. All of there's some reason why you're not in charge of your own destiny. But the one who's in charge of everything is the one that has the most growth potential. And the one who takes the brunt is the one that has the best outcome. You know, sometimes again, the most painful things in life end up being the best. And the best things can end up being the worst. The most painful things that I've had, I went to prison for a long time. Prison was kind of shitty. But in the end, it ended up being one of the best things that happened for me because I had so much time to reflect on myself, so much time to look internally, that I eventually forgave everyone that had fucked me over in the past, forgave myself, and I started looking towards the future. See, that's a big cheat code in life. You have to let go of the past. A lot of you can't, because a lot of you have an issue that happens and it's your defining moment. See, for a lot of you, if you had this girl around you that died, I invited her, shit like that, that would be the end of you. Like you'd be finished. A lot of you, if you went to prison for did a 6-year whack, like that's your story to tell everyone from now on why you fucked up, like why you failed. Like a lot of that's the end. That's my story for why I didn't become anything. Or this happened, or I got sick, or I had a cancer. I've had all of that shit, and I've beaten every single thing along the way. Because everything to me, it's the same thing that I say, like trauma itself is a slingshot, or it's a noose around your neck. It's all dependent on you. Like it's a maximizer, like all of that shit. The trauma or damage or something like that, that's why life is largely about what damage you can take. You're absorbing energy, and later you can use it like a seed to push you into even further down. Like I know this shit sucks for me, this shit that happened and stuff like that. Like I have a lot of, I don't feel great about it, but I know that there's going to be much more into the future. Like I'm going to make this into something special, because I always have done that historically. You know, the shit that ends up being really difficult ends up being great. You know, I'm not saying it's a great thing that it happened, but I know that I'll use that because now I realize that money and stuff is important again. See, money is not important when you're worth 10, 15 million. Money stops being important to me. I'm from zero. So the fact that I already have a Lamborghini, I have my GT3, I have houses, I have can live anywhere in the world, I have unlimited girls, I have unlimited fucking friends. See, that was kind of the end of the game. Like I'd already finished much more than I ever thought that I would achieve. I'm from the gutter. I'm year 9 educated. I never thought I would amount to anything when I was young. I was in the army. I was kicked out of the army. A lot of the shit that I'd tried, I'd always failed at. I hadn't been good at many things. Like, I was not exceptional at fucking good at video games. That shit's nothing. But then this death and shit like that, and helping other people along the way, I donated $100,000 to fucking charity in Poland to a kids' hospital. I don't know, that saved people's lives. I give people, I have a few people that I donate to. I got a gym, Alligatores. I donated a bunch of boxing equipment there to a few people that had like a hard time, a few kids. And I know that with this stuff that happened, I pay the funeral, I pay this fucking body to go back. Like, I realized the value of money again. Like, I didn't know, because I'm out of touch with finances. Because for me, making money is easy, but then I realized how for others it's not, and how you can bend the not only bend the fabric of time, but make their life like much more or less painful. If you can fix pain for them, it's a good thing. It's like the responsibility. You're responsible for the whole world. See, I have a theory that was pushed to me when I did a burger, that when you die, the whole world goes with you. Like, everything around you goes, similar to the black hole just sitting in the corner of the sky. And as soon as you go, that's why people say, I was flying up, it was reported that I was hovering above my body, and then suddenly I was like, lights everywhere and this and that. And everyone seems to have this very similar story. I believe that you go up to that, and then it sucks the whole universe out with you, because the universe and everything here is only here for you. But that doesn't mean that you don't look after the people around you. That doesn't mean that you don't look after the people, because if not you, who? That's a very strong thing that I live by. A lot of you will complain about trash on the ground, but then the very concept of picking up that trash for you, you're like, fuck that, someone else can do it. Because I think like that sometimes as well. But now I come to the conclusion, be the change you want to be. Be the change that you want to see in this world. And the Gandhi line is very true. And I've come to many other realizations with that, because I had the near deaths where I had two. I had two where I had my drowning, I had my beating that I got, and then I had one where I had a suicide attempt. And the suicide attempt one, I only saw black. The other two times I saw light. I was being drawn up to the light, and I realized it felt like I was going home. It felt fucking amazing. I felt more accepted than I've ever felt in my life in those two moments. But then the other time I had a suicide attempt, I only saw black. Like, I felt like I was just black, endless, like black for eternity. And then I had the Iboga trip, and it said the same thing, that if you commit suicide, you don't go to heaven or hell. You just sit here, and you have to do it all this whole shit again. So, but you'll sit here, and time is like real. Like, you're sitting here in black for until the timeline essentially resets. So that's not something that I really want to repeat, because when I hear that, it makes me because my belief or what I've seen can confirm that. That's not something that I want to see here in this world. But yeah, so I saw many things with the Iboga trip. I saw many things of reality, and reality itself is very much projected from your conscious. Governance, to me, the governance around us is just the form of physical representation of your conscious. Like, your conscious mind is the governance around you right now. That's my beliefs and my ideas and things like that, and I think that it's correct. Similar to a matrix, but it's not the matrix that people expect. What people expect in this world. I think that, I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole, because it will become a 3-hour video and 3 hours of stuff that maybe not everyone wants to witness. But yeah, so that's where I've been up to for the last couple of months. And yeah, regarding the crypto market, I think guys waiting for my update for that. Much of, like I said, has happened. Everything that I said has happened. I'll tell you guys, Bitcoin's the birth of AI. It seems crazy to think about. I tell you, the computers are communicating with each other with hash. They're able to buy, with the Bitcoin network itself, the computer, the AI itself is able to buy shit on the dark web. Like, if it wants to wipe people out, cash appears on someone's account and then the person gets killed. Like, that's how it's happening in real time. Like, I can already see it. The community being able to communicate, with encrypted hash right now, with the systems for Bitcoin. The network's designed to expand, appealing to human greed, protected by the biggest minds in like tech. So, and also protected by a bunch of equipment. So even if people come to the conclusion that this is what's happening, they don't want to blow the whistle, because all their mining equipment and all of their research and everything they've done will be pointless, because people will be like, slow it down. So, I mean, I've known this for fucking years. You know, it's pretty obvious, that sort of stuff to me. A lot of you probably still believe the Satoshi story, or that it's CIA or some other crap. That's not true. You know, I mean, if it was, there's a million coins at stake, they would have already started fucking leaking them out. But yeah, that's the game. You know, apply to people's financial fucking greed, and they'll protect the network. They're incentivized to protect it. They're also incentivized to protect the AI itself. They're incentivized to expand it. It's got access to the energy, got access to a grid, it's got access to a bunch of computers. You know, you probably believe that it just appeared on some CIA agent, uploaded the tech, and you know, all of this shit. That shit was ahead of its time. You know, Satoshi is the first, I guess, singularity, you would say. Like, it's pretty obvious to me, that shit, because I've seen it before. And yeah, so my take on the Bitcoin's gone much higher.